Welcome to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. Got a really interesting topic tonight that I suspect a lot of UFO content creators are getting to. And I mean as content creators, not just, and I'm not trying to distinguish us from the general public. We're the general public also. We just make YouTube videos, right? But tonight's shirt, and this is so apropos. Let's get weird. Yeah, baby. And what weirder way can we get weird than to put on a jacket that is way too formal with a t-shirt. Yeah, I need to buy me a sports jacket, which I will do. Ross Coulthart has come out with a very interesting accusation against Elon Musk. And Christian Harloff, down to earth, agrees with Ross Coulthart. Elon Musk is lying his ass off now, sincerely, considering who he's working for. That really shouldn't surprise us, right? Well, I am going to completely agree with both Ross Coulthart and Christian Harloff. But it's what Harloff very appropriately notices that I want to discuss, because the implications take us way down the road in a very important way. And we, as a public, have to start facing the decision. We, you and I, my friends, we have a crossroads. I shouldn't even say we're approaching the crossroads. We're at it. And more of us are recognizing that progress has stopped. And we've got a crossroad. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. Christian Harloff doesn't necessarily. He does hint about it, but I will talk about it more fully. So let's go to the very good news of Christian Harloff. He's good. He keeps his eye on things. He keeps us up to date. I like his program. Yes, I've been critical of him in the past when it comes to some types of photographs of UFOs and stuff like that. That's true. I'm critical of everybody, just like everybody is critical of me in one way or another. Of course, we're all human. We're all working toward the same goal. As far as a news source, Christian is better than most. He's good. I like him. So let's take a look. Let me share the screen real quick. At Christian's analysis of Ross Coulthart. Pretty important point that he makes. Yep, we've got it. Okay, here we go. Oh, hold on. I got to turn down my heat. Dadgummit, I hate it when I do that. I swear to goodness, I do that every podcast I make. It's becoming the Backyard Professor trademark. Okay, here we go. Take it away. Down to earth, Christian Harloff.
Has Elon Musk actually been briefed about the crash retrieval programs that have been alleged by a lot of different whistleblowers, and that he has said he's never heard about these things, that SpaceX would have picked it up? Has he indeed been briefed on it? Well, Ross Coulthart says he has, and he's heard that he has. So I want to play this clip from News Nation about this, and then talk about what it means on the other side here. So let's discuss. Let's bring this up first from Ross Coulthart.
Elon Musk, in his interview with Joe Rogan, made a particular comment that I think a lot of people have picked up on, that he said that he has a very broad security clearance because of his SpaceX obligations, and that, quote, he would know whether Boeing, Lockheed Martin, or Northrop Grumman were in fact in possession of non-human technology. And he said adamantly to Joe Rogan that he, as far as he was aware, he did not know of any such claims that they were in possession of any non-human technology. I'm sorry, I just don't believe Elon. I'm calling it. I think Elon has been read into the program, and I don't think he can talk about it. That's certainly what I've been told by people, that Elon Musk has been read in to aspects of the program. And frankly, if you accept what people like Christopher Mellon, former very senior Defense Department official, say, which is that it's routine for space satellites and craft in orbit to see strange objects, anomalous objects in orbit, it's kind of understandable that you would want the principal of SpaceX and probably the senior people that he works with to be briefed in that there are certain national secrets that need to be protected. I'm sorry, I just don't accept that Elon Musk is telling us the full story. And I am told reliably by people that he has been read in. End of story.
And that makes so much sense. Being in SpaceX and having all that space junk satellites that interfere with my UFO findings with my binoculars, because I have to see so gosh damn much crap up there that's Elon Musk's. Those would pick up things that we here on the ground can't possibly pick up. And people who are looking at those tapes, looking at those cameras, etc., they've got to know what to do with that. So they have to be in the know. I'm with Ross on this. Now, Christian comes along and he presents a further depth look, as I'm sure Ross did, but Christian has his own spin on it, his own take. I'm not saying that in a negative fashion about Christian at all. We all have our own spin, our own interpretation. That is not a critique. That's just a statement of fact, right? So no offense intended to Christian in any manner when I say it that way. Got to keep up with the modern lingo, right? Christian brings up another point of view that I want to share with you, because I yet have a further view that I believe is inevitable. And yes, I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong. It's not a big deal. I'm not coming up with the final solution any more than Harloff does, or Ross Goldhart, or any of us, right? But I do believe I have a very, very important point to make. Let's go to the tape and listen to Christian's wisdom. I like his point he makes here in the next couple of minutes. This is really well done.
I mean, that's a claim. It's a straight up claim. Now, and he pretty much said he's lying. He's straight up saying he's lying. You know, he says he doesn't believe. He said, I don't believe Elon Musk that he hasn't been there. And I'll tell you what, I'm with Ross. I don't believe him. I don't believe a lot of the, people who say that they haven't been read into these things. They haven't heard about things, but it makes sense that he was probably told he can't say shit, because, and I think we mentioned this a year ago when we were talking about the SpaceX stuff and all that. So look, you're going to get exclusive contracts. You're going to get this, you're going to get that, but you're part of this thing. The stuff that we find and the information that we get, that ain't for anybody except me, you, and this fly in the room. That's it. And if you want these contracts, that's exactly what you say. You go on a podcast, you go, I never heard of it. I would have known. And then you have to help elevate our narrative. And if you want to keep that contract, that's what you got to do. So why in the world, if he wants to keep these contracts and everything too, you think that he wants to be a guy who's going to, well, I would tell you guys. He's not going to tell you. He's not going to tell you. He's going to do his research. He's like, well, if I'm on Rogan and I go, look, let me tell you the truth. I know that there is a program, and I know this. How's that going to go? How's that going to go overall? Elon Musk says that indeed there is. And that now, what about the people who he's working with? What are they going to do? How's that going to work? So do I get why he's not going to just go out there freely and say, yeah, I'm part of this thing. I mean, it's always disturbing that people that, especially now, because he's got a pretty, he has become someone that they talk about in the news, if not as much as Trump, when it comes to the stuff going on in the government. And so there's just, he to me is no different now than any politician. I don't give a crap what side of the aisle you're sitting on. I don't believe you if you're a politician. I don't believe you. I'm going to fight for you. Sure you are. And if it benefits you, you will. I'm going to tell you the truth. If it benefits you, you will. Well, we're going to make sure that this happens. It's for your own good. If it benefits you, it's for my own good, right? Same stuff with Elon and everybody else too. So the other side of it too comes to Ross, where it's like, well, I heard from my people that he's been sworn in.
I do like how he approaches this, and that goes all the way to the top of Donald Trump too. He didn't say it, but I will. There are no politicians worth their salt anymore. And for however it happened, I don't know. It's beyond us now at this point, but we, the public, have been fooled into putting into power people who only care about themselves, all the while fooling all the rest of us, thinking they're going to make it better for us. And our food prices keep going up, and our stock market savings is being trashed in the garbage. And there's still tens of millions of people supporting the decisions of the politicians who are ruining your lives. And you're still supporting them. Because as I've said before, and as Christian is hinting, the oligarchy that we so foolishly believed in the first place and gave power to only think about themselves. Since Elon has been almost elected, since he is pretty much running the show here in our country, he has made tens of millions of dollars. How's it going for the rest of us? You see, we don't get our raise to the tune of tens of millions of dollars in contracts like Elon Musk does. We still have to pay for those expensive eggs and the gas and the groceries. I cannot walk out of Costco with just 2 plastic bags of groceries for over $100. And hell yes, that's painful. Have they in Washington, D.C. given a flying bleep about me and the cost of my groceries? No. They make millions and millions and millions. So inflation doesn't even faze them. So they don't care. But we keep putting them into power. Well, there's the hint from Christian Harloff. But what he brings out now is even a more broad brush. And I thought, aha, now here's a guy who's got his finger on the pulse here. This is really important what Harloff says next. What about Ross Coulthart's people?
I don't know if I trust my people anymore either, because there's times we've heard, well, my people say this. My people say that all hell's going to break loose in the beginning of the year. We're in March. All hell has not broken loose. You can make the argument if you want that, well, Jake Barber and other people have come out and they didn't want that to happen. That's not all hell breaking loose. That's a section of people, oh, there's a new person here. There's a new person part of it. There's a new person talking that they saw this. There's a egg video that could be anything. That's not hell breaking loose. So I don't know if I trust your people either. But this particular instance, I think is credible. And I think that I would believe that Elon Musk is not telling the truth about a reverse engineering program, and that he wants his people to be able to have the top secret stuff, and he's not going to break protocols and things of that nature.
Yeah. Where are we as a club? Or I'll call us a club, right? The UFO club, the UFO disclosure club around the world. Where are we now? In a way, an advantage exists with us content creators on YouTube. Maybe it's easier for us a little bit, not much. And I'm not trying to elevate us above anybody. I'm just saying the nature of this particular beast is such that we try to get good quality information and content. We try to share it, and we get a lot of feedback from pretty much every direction. So we have more or less an inside track, I'll call it. Not really an inside track. Well, maybe an inside track. Our context might be just a little better informed simply because we're getting so many either compliments or criticisms or suggestions from absolutely everybody of every walk of life with all kinds of ideas. I get overwhelmed with so many that I can't follow up on them for several weeks, etc. Some slip through the cracks, and then some people remind me, hey, I told you 2 months ago to look this guy up, stuff like that, right? So if as a community, we are to the point to where it's obvious any and all politicians are just not believable. And many of the more or less, I don't even know if this is the correct way to call them whistleblowers. Some really aren't whistleblowers, but many of the people coming out, well, let's call it insider information. Do we really trust them? Well, my sources inform me. Well, all right, let's see what you said about all hell breaking loose. And I'm with Christian on this. Within the parameters of the UFO, the UAP flap, within the ideas of suggested timelines for events to either be fulfilled or to unfold this year, 2025, etc., I have found absolutely none of the predictions at all coming accurate, except for Chris Bledsoe's. He said the lady told him 2025 is going to get pretty rough. And it's getting pretty rough. There's a lot of problems with the economy now after this election. Things were going really pretty decent for a while. But now it's just bomb. It's crashing. Or so it seems. And there's all kinds of job firings and stuff like that. There's all kinds of lunatic suggestions with every phase of every department, whether it's health and welfare, FEMA. Doge is just running amok. They're firing several people in the nuclear industry. And then stupidly later, it dawns on the two dinglings that, oh, wait, hold it. Those people that we just fired, well, they're in charge of our own nuclear arsenal. We should have thought of that. I mean, the level of foresight is minuscule with this administration. So now they're trying to scramble to rehire all of those people back. If you just think it through and get some advisors that know a lot more than you, it won't be hard to find any, I promise. The two dinglings running the show are just about as Tweedledee and Tweedledum as we can possibly put into power, right? So I'm not going to make this political, even though I am making it political, because I'm here to bring you the truth. You know me by now. I don't bullshit around. So who's to be trusted? Because I agree that Coulthart's interpretation didn't necessarily come to fruition. Bledsoe's is, though. He said it's going to start getting rough in 2025. He didn't mean about UFOs. He meant about the economy. And I'll be go the heck. We were told from day one, I'm going to bring down inflation. And now he says, shut up about eggs. Shut up about eggs. Listen, you multimillionaire twit. You can afford eggs. We can't. That's a part of our best kind of protein. Don't you tell me to shut up about eggs. Right? I mean, let's put the focus where it belongs. Well, it's going to be more difficult to bring down inflation. Well, then quit lying to us every breath you take about being able to do something about it, when in point of fact, I don't believe you ever had the intent, any more than Trump ever had the intent of exposing and discussing and disclosing the UFOs. Now that's even being sidelined. I've seen new videos on that. So we're being lied to from every side. Everyone is wrong, and there is a general lack of trust, and this has actually almost reached across the board in our UFO community. Now I want to sharp focus on the UFO community. There are very few whistleblowers out there that are believable anymore. And those are picked and chosen, pro-Greer, anti-Greer, pro-Corbellum Knapp, anti-Corbellum Knapp, pro-Lazar, anti-Lazar, pro-Ross Coulthart, pro-Jake Barber, anti-Jake Barber, etc., 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 etc. Everyone has their own particular flavor and unique view. None of them have projected pro-Steve Bassett, anti-Steve Bassett. Everyone's saying things are building up. Things are building up. March is going to be huge. 2025 is going to be gigantic. We're halfway through March, and there ain't diddly squat going on. Nothing. Nada. So, who do you trust? Where do you go to for actual knowledge? How do we, or do we, continue discriminating what we hope is valid opposed to what we really don't think is going to be valid or not valid, whether it's a methodological approach, whether it's a philosophical conundrum, whether it's a religious doctrine concerning the UFOs, whether it is a psychological aspect, or if it's a nuts and bolts, just down to earth scientific analysis, or a psionics communication theme. It doesn't matter what angle, what area of this particular issue we're dealing with. Nobody stands out anymore as a beacon of light to follow. And there's our first clue. we have all been indoctrinated into thinking that following what someone else says is the way to understand the truth. Well, it's got to be, I've even had Danny Sheehan on my program. I've had Steve Bassett. I've had the Tedesco brothers. I have talked about the great authorities, Diane Pasulka, Chris Mellon, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, Steve Greer, etc. I'm pulling in, I'm even doing it. That's what I'm saying. I'm confessing that I have been sucked into the whirlpool of belief that an authority figure has a greater weight of truth and reality on their side. And is that true? No, it's not. And this is a serious crossroad. Look, even I fall back on the authority thing. How many books have they written? Richard Dolan happens to be a premier author. I kid you not. Richard Dolan happens to be a premier UFO historian. I kid you not. But that's an authority figure. We gravitate to that because we need something to verify what we fear bringing out on our own. We love group think, that's the essence of organized religion, the secret societies, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, etc. Group think there's safety in numbers. Okay, teamwork, team. We've been conditioned to only believe our guy in our group. Look, it's true. Your guy in your group has 2 PhDs, but we got 2 guys in our group that have 2 PhDs each, and they believe like we do, so we're more powerful. I mean, this is a conditioning that, part of it is our education system, right? This conditioning, I would propose, can be highly misleading when it comes to, and especially the scientific authority. Oh, my heavens. Science is God to so many people these days. Science itself, the gatekeepers don't even let you think out of the box. You accept our way or we're kicking you out. Well, that's the Catholic Church. You stay Catholic and believe our doctrine or we're kicking you out. That's Mormonism. You believe in Joseph Smith and the literal return of the 10 tribes from the north and the Book of Mormon being translated through a seer stone by looking into a hat. You believe that or we're kicking you out. Science is just as bad of a religious predilection. They hate new thinking. Science, just like religion, and maybe, possibly, just like ufology, all of the groups appear to be losing their hold on truth and reality And none of us know where to go. Why should I buy that book? He might be a grifter. Man, how many times have I been told that? How many people are called grifters in the UFO community? 99% of them. You mean there really is no truth at all to be had? Nope, not by any of those. But they're the they're the ones putting the research in, man. They're the ones who are finding the evidence. They're the ones doing the interviews. They're the ones who's finding the people who had the experiences while they were involved in Project Blue Book, etc. Nope, no good. This is a tough issue. Tough issue. It appears to me that there is a way through this morass of contradictory conceptions. And it's a path very few want to go on. One, is difficult. I get that. I get it. It is a difficult path. It can be expensive. Doesn't have to be, but it can get that way. It's definitely intimidating to so many. And with our economy getting destroyed and our republic falling apart and dictators aligning with dictators now, everyone's uncertain about our future. And it's hard to get our food. And it's harder to get clothing or a necessary automobile or a new computer, whatever you need. Our needs are not coming easy anymore. Easy street's over. It's getting rough. What is, and then again, we have to think and ask ourselves to be truthful within ourselves and ask the question, all right, why do I care about the truth? I mean, is it really that big of a deal? I don't know the truth. Look, every book I read, that shows me how little I know. And after a few thousand books in a lifetime, you come to the realization that this is not a paradox. The vast majority of our lives, we will never know the absolute astonishing vast majority of what there is to know. Our reality is we are but stupid, period. We are all grossly ignorant. Well, that's not a very pleasing thing for your own psychology. That's a pretty difficult, bitter pill to swallow. Every book you read, you recognize how little you really know. And if you don't read a book, if you don't read this book, you are 100% ignorant of this book. Not partially. You are 100% ignorant if you refuse to read the book. Well, there's hundreds of millions, if not billions of books that you won't even physically set your eyes on in your lifetime. The reality is our gross ignorance. And yet we love to imagine how utterly intelligent and fine intellectual superiors that we are to all the other species. Now we have these people saying an alien civilization is coming along who is vastly superior to us, and that just scares the hell out of everybody. They say, no, we don't want that. So what is the price for truth versus what is the value of truth? And quite frankly, why do I want the truth? If I can buy my food, if I can keep myself clothed and keep my family from starving, take care of my grandkids and take them to the park and enjoy the zoo periodically and play frisbee with my son and daughter and grandkids, take a drive in a car, etc., have a good job, enjoy my coworkers, etc. Who cares if I have the truth? Is it worth it? And the vast majority of us, I'm going to hate to tell you this, and I am in this boat with you, is that we really don't want the truth as such. What we want is comfort. We want ease. We want pleasure. And that is not an evil. That is not an indictment for being wicked. That is just simply our human nature. And no one should ever feel guilty or be considered at fault for pursuing pleasures in life. The truth is disruptive. The truth is rude, eye-opening. The truth can kill you. The truth can kill you. The truth can completely destroy your psychology so that you can no longer get along with anybody and you become a recluse and you lose all your friends. Is that worth it? See, these are weighty matters that Colt Hart, Harloff a little bit, and now the backyard professor is saying this is on our doorstep. I mean, it's a noble, intellectual, lofty sounding thing here. Just bear with me. I seek the truth. And I'm going to debunk falsehood. I want the truth. And it doesn't matter this truth with the evidence. The evidence is going to take me down a path or a direction that I am not going to like, but I'm going to follow the evidence no matter where it leads. Now, all of this noble sounding tripe that we love to regurgitate to reassure our fellow human beings that there is a truth in a more or less of a noble or a grand or a majestic, a manly, from my position, or womanly if you're a female, thing to pursue the truth. I will find the truth, no matter what it takes, no matter what it costs. Now, this is noble. This I mean, shit, man, it blows your mind. It sounds impressive. You can't help but say, dude, I'm going to follow that guy. That's who I'm looking for to learn from. And that's, for lack of a better way to describe it, that's where we get misguided. Because in giving up your own sovereignty, freedom of power to choose to make a decision, to make the time to pursue truth instead of sitting at home enjoying your comforts, but to pursue the truth, because you've made that a noble quest, because it is a noble quest. This almost gift from God has its price. Now, of course, hey, if I can get the truth cheap and on the quick without paying the price, I'm all for that. And that's why we want government disclosure. Well, I'll wait for them to tell me. But if them is no longer trustworthy in your own heart, now it's real interesting, because that itself is a subjective interpretation of a limited range of data, but my limitations are not yours. They are not hers. They are not hers. They are not his or his, or each one of us has our own class of data. We have assessed where the tie-ins are, the connections between the earth, the cosmos, people, which disciplines we love, which disciplines we hate. Oh, I sucked at math. I don't want to do math. So your bias against math prevents you from learning certain information about truth and reality that you'll never get. And yet you want the truth and reality, but you're not going to do the math. In the UFO scene, have we not arrived at a crossroads? I would propose we're there. Very interestingly. It does appear to me that it's hard to find people to trust anymore. And that can be aggravating. Absolutely. I mean, you've seen me blow my top. I rant and rave and stuff like that. That can also be terrifying. You know, it keeps me awake on some nights. I'm not going to lie to you. I go out and look at the stars. I finally went out and got a pair of binoculars so that I can look at the stars validly and perhaps share some more information with you. If we can't trust anybody else, and the real bad news here is we can't. And that sucks. I mean it. As a historian, I love citing sources. I've written papers with 175 footnotes using 380 sources before. I have a paper that I've written that I will read as one of my discussions on the UFOs here pretty quick. I might do it tomorrow night. We'll see. Either tomorrow, Friday, or Saturday, or something like that. But I have a pretty decent paper that brings in a lot of different aspects of truth and reality. You know, all the noble philosophical ideas I have been thinking about through the decades of my life and enjoying every minute of it. I've written a little bit about it, and there is one particular paper that I will read out loud as a basis for understanding a better, perhaps a more real view of what is real, or a more nuanced, real view about what is truth, or however you'll want to call this. I've written on that, and I will share that on a YouTube video. But if we are to the point to where there is no anchor of trust, what do we do? Where do we go? Who do we talk to? What do we read? What do we watch? That gets scary because there's no anchor. I have a suggestion for an anchor. We have to do it ourselves. Well, that particular photograph is not good enough. Oh, it's obvious that that particular video is CGI generated. The skeptics will not accept anything which they define as valid, but that's a very subjective point of view. And since they don't want to take the effort to go find out themselves, do their own research, perhaps spend the money to get the right equipment to do the research, because I don't want to take a whole year out of my luxurious pleasure life to go find the truth. Forget it. I'll just debunk what everybody else says is true, even if it goes against what I hope for, and I'll still be able to do my thing in life. But that's the coward's way out. It appears to me, and I'm not calling skeptics cowards, I'm a skeptic. I mean, anybody who's watched my channel by now, if you don't realize I'm a skeptic, you haven't been paying attention. And yet it's crazy because I'm partly a believer too. The key is quit relying on others and find out for yourself. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who say, you mean you took 45 blasted minutes to tell me when you could have told me right up front? Yes, I did. Get over it. Because humans learn through stories, analogies, comparisons, and contrasts. That's called research. If you want the answers in 3 minutes to the meaning of mathematical equations without having to actually spend hours and days and weeks, in some instances, on just one mathematics equation, then you're not going to learn spit. You may as well admit you're not interested in the truth if you're not willing to work for it and find it yourself. Just man up and say, well, good luck. I personally don't find any value in that, so I'm not going to do that. But instead, so many want to critique everybody else. I get that. I am a critiquer also in shoddy evidence, bad methodology, horrible videos and pictures, obvious fakes. Again, notice the subjective here, right? So I'm going to go out and find out for myself. And that would be my suggestion. There is no other way to truth. Even if someone else in a high authority tells you the truth, it's not for you. The only truth for you is what you go to the tree of knowledge. You climb that tree and you take the fruit and eat it and digest it yourself. Someone else telling you, oh, dude, babe, the fruit on that tree is really good. You're not going to know that until you go find out. I'm telling you, this hunting rifle, this thing is good at 1,000 yards. Doesn't kick very well. It's a fabulous gun to hunt with. You don't know that until you purchase the gun or rent it and go shoot it and go hunting yourself. This vehicle is a fine vehicle, comfortable for 8 hours on the road, etc. Good gas mileage. It's got all the buzzers and whistles and bells, etc. Even if the president of the Automobile Association of America tells you that, you still don't know that's the truth of that car. I would propose it's the same thing with this subject of UFOs. We have yet to do the work. Now, there's many of you who have already done the work. And yes, I have been listening to your voices. I have been reading your comments. And I am in full agreement. I am behind. You've already had your experiences. You don't need disclosure because you've had disclosure. And it's amusing how the skeptics then turn around and tell you, no, you didn't really see what you say you saw. As if they would know. I mean, that's embarrassing to the skeptics when they take that approach. Right? But it's time, I think we're forced. You're either going to wait for the rest of your life and get no disclosure, wishing you had, wishing someone came to save you with real knowledge, or you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to find out for myself. That's the choice I'm making. And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. I got news for you. It won't. I've been told by a lot of experiencers it does happen, however. All right. I will find out. Now, if as a skeptic you say, bull roar, nope, ain't going to happen. I don't believe a word you say. Well, then you'll never still actually find out, will you? That's like saying, oh, you say the answer to that long drawn out equation that you've been working on for 3 weeks is actually 1? I don't believe you. But that doesn't mean you know the mathematician's wrong. Well, nobody works on an equation for 3 blasted weeks with all of those gobbledygook symbols. And you've been writing now. You've been calculating, exploring, canceling, dividing, multiplying, all kinds of stuff for 39 pages of paper on both sides, mind you. And the answer is 1 bullshit. You don't have the right to take that judgment. You don't know. And the mathematician does. I would propose in somewhat the same vein, searching for UFOs is like that. And it's hard sometimes to convince others that your experience is real. Now, I hope that when I have my experience, am I actually going to tell people? Why should I? Well, we deserve the truth. Not if you don't go get it. Because you're not going to believe me either. I mean, you don't believe Chris Bledsoe. You damn sure don't believe Steve Greer, Jeremy Corbell, or George Knapp, or Diane Pasulka, or whoever. Danny Sheehan. Gary Nolan. You don't believe any of them either. So why are you going to believe me? I don't believe you if you would say, well, I would believe you. Sure, right. And if my experience is as wild as Major George Filer's, whom I have been interviewing with my good friend Robert, of Custodian File, I've seen very, very many negative comments saying the old man is just batting his gums and he's just telling stories. That's what you'll say about me too. So my question is, why do I care whether you believe me or not? Quite frankly, I don't. Because you know the way to get the answer. And you won't do it, but you're more than happy to tell everyone else who does do it, oh no, your experience wasn't real, it was fake, it wasn't science, etc. Well, your criticism is completely idiotic. See what I mean? Probably not, because that might offend you. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not trying to shame you into doing it. If you want to find out, great. If you don't, that's all good too, you know. If all you want to do is be like Mike Shermer and debunk no matter what, then that's your choice. Mock and ridicule and debunk. But there are some of us who actually do value having the truth, and we know it's a process. Do you really think that some of my religious knowledge, after having read hundreds of these books, came overnight? Well, I wish I knew what you knew. Bullshit. You have no desire to put the work in that I did for decades to read hundreds and hundreds of books to get truth. Don't lie and say, well, I wish I did. No, you don't. Or you would have done it if it was that valuable. And if it's not valuable to you, I'm not going to judge you. It's all good. It's cool. I don't care. But if it's valuable to someone else, for you to then turn around and hound them relentlessly, that's not quite right either. I don't quite see that. But this is the crossroads that I see, that we are as a community entering really very speedily, if we're not already at this crossroads. Do we wait for others to give us our knowledge, or do we pursue our own knowledge? That's the question. So that's what I've got tonight. Thank you, Christian Harloff, for covering this most fascinating topic. Thank you, Ross Colthart, for expressing your ideas as well. And now I've been able to express mine a little bit different direction than the other two did, but that's the fun of getting various multiple different bifurcating viewpoints, is to learn from by comparison and contrast. That's the beauty of it all. That's how truth is discerned, by comparing true and false. And that's why you can't just read one book and learn everything about any one topic. You must have multiple books covering the same topic from hundreds of points of views. That takes a lot of work, and not everybody's up for it. I get it. So that's what I've got to say. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for your support. Hit the like and subscribe. Thank you for all your financial donations, your spiritual donations, your care, your concern, your love, your comments. Help me with the algorithm. Hit the like, share this video with everybody you can. And I will see you soon in the next Backyard Professor video discussion.